All right, let's get to the main event, unveiling my QB tiers. Okay. So I'm just going to go, like, I think we know who. I'm going to start at the bottom half. Like, we know who that is, right? We'll go the Saints, the Browns, because we don't know who that quarterback is. Like, give me a number that you think it starts to get interesting, and I'll tell you.
Like where it starts to get
Matter of
interesting.
fact, okay, my bottom tier. I got about 5 tiers, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom, it's the whatever the Browns are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying this in skills. It's just the Browns. They have 5 quarterbacks now because they just signed Snoop Huntley. So the Browns have to be at the very bottom because they don't even know what they're doing, right? So it's like the Browns and the Saints and the Colts to me are in that bottom tier. Whatever those quarterbacks are, to me, that's where that's at. Okay.
Yes.
Then you have the 4th tier where it's like, okay, I call McCarthy, which I like him. Okay. It's just, he hasn't played. He had that one pass, but I liked him in college. I was one of the very few JJ McCarthy supporters. But in all fairness, we have no idea what he's going to be. So it's only going to be he said, don't ever compare that dude to Tebow. Hey, shout out to Tebow, man. Hey, won a playoff game. Shout out to man, I'm gonna butcher him because I know he just passed away. Who's the receiver that caught that? Demaryius Thomas. Yes, there we go. Okay, so in my 4th tier, which is basically wait and see. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I can't put them any higher than this. The JJ McCarthy, Michael Penix, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams. That's tier.
You have both of Atlanta's quarterbacks on the same tier?
Yeah, because I don't know who's starting.
Okay.
So just like I have all the Browns quarterbacks in one tier and all the Colts in one tier, we would agree Kirk Cousins and Penix are probably better than Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that's my line of thinking there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right above them, now tier 3 is where a bulk of the players are at. Okay. In tier 3, I have Caleb. I have Caleb in tier 4 because I don't like him. Drake May, Sam Darnold, Bo Nix, Geno, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy. And Dak Prescott. That's tier 3. Okay.
How many quarterbacks are left? Just
11.
You don't think Dak Prescott's one of the 11 best quarterbacks in the
NFL? I think he has the potential to be, but because of his injuries, I don't know where he's at.
That's fair. Okay.
I think Dak Prescott has the ability, because if we want to get into brass tacks, he has the ability to be a top 5 quarterback. We've seen him do that.
Okay, I got you. He was hurt last season. He didn't play well.
He didn't play. So I can't put him any higher because, and it's really not anything against him. It's just the guys who are now going to be listed above him in tier 2 and 1 are just they've just moved past him, and that starts with my number 11, Baker Mayfield. Then CJ Stroud at 10.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts at 9. Jared Goff at 8. Justin Herbert, Jayden Daniels. That's tier 2. Tier 1, Matt Stafford, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes.
For a guy who's obsessed with 3-year sample sizes, what's the justification for having Jayden Daniels the 5th best quarterback in the NFL? When you're the guy who's obsessed with
6th. He's 6th. He's the top of tier 2. Him, Herbert, and Goff are at the top of tier 2. My obsession is the greatest rookie quarterback campaign we have ever seen. Special people get.
Wait a second. You have Justin Herbert over Jalen Hurts, and you think Justin Herbert is a social media quarterback?
I never said he thinks he's.
When we've talked about how Acho said that Justin Herbert was a social media quarterback, and you agreed. This is a guy, ladies and gentlemen.
I don't know if we should be listening to Acho these days.
We shouldn't. To the 95 of you who are watching, I just want to let you guys know that this is a guy in Jerm Edwards who is obsessed with 3-year sample sizes and results.
Yeah.
Except when it doesn't fit his agenda. because this is the same guy in Jerm Edwards who is obsessed with bringing up the fact that Justin Herbert hasn't done anything to be worth all of the hype that he gets. Yet you have him ahead of a guy who's played in 2 Super Bowls and won one of them, is an all-pro, has
Justin
won
Herbert
more games than just about everybody except for one guy since he's been the starter and was a runner-up for the MVP.
Here's the problem, and this is where you guys get it twisted, because you have to make up your minds. Tony, yes, Baker over Dak. Baker almost over
Tony
every,
for right now, today.
Right now.
Yes, Baker over Dak. Absolutely.
Herbert and Jalen Hurts have played roughly the same amount of games. Herbert has like almost 15,000 more passing yards. Like, and the things.
Well, they're also different types of quarterbacks.
I understand, and that's and here's the crux of my Jalen Hurts argument.
Okay.
Jalen Hurts, and it's funny because when all this started, did I say Jalen Hurts was garbage? Did you ever hear me say that? I said winning the Super Bowl doesn't change how people should look at Jalen Hurts. He has always been a fringe top 10 or top 5, however you want to say it. I said you could argue him anywhere from 8 to 12. ESPN had him at 9. I gave him more credit than that. The NFL 100 just came out. He is the 7th. What did I say? I said he is the 6th best player on his team. Y'all laughed at me. The NFL 100 that dropped last week, he is technically the 7th best Eagle on his own team. Outside of the top 50.
He's actually not, though. And you know that he's not, right? So you know that he's not.
Tony, Baker is over Dak because Baker had to overcome injuries to his 2 top 1 wide receivers, and he's won games. He has single-handedly won games for.
Not even that. Baker's over Dak because Dak played in 8 games last season and had 8 picks. Like, he didn't play well. After coming off of an MVP runner-up season, Dak Prescott did not play well last season, and he didn't finish the season. You have to put Baker over Dak right now. If you're just talking about just like who they are at their best right now, yeah, Dak's better. But Dak didn't play well last season. You have to say that Baker's better. He's put together 3 really good years of football, the best 3 years of football of his career.
And I preempted my tiers with Dak Prescott could easily be top 5. He could take Matt Stafford's spot. It's just I have to see him play well because the last time we saw him, and he's coming off of, and it's not like he's coming off of a bullshit injury. He's coming off of a pretty major injury. Yeah. So like in the quarterback needs your hamstring. Sorry.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, the wins thing is the thing that bothers me because we can't. Like, the winning has nothing to do with him. Just like Joe Burrow last year. You're not going to look at how the Bengals performed and say, yeah, that was Joe Burrow. Yes, Justin Herbert had a terrible playoff game. Terrible playoff games happen. I got you. I got you. I hear you, and it's bad. And I'm not absolving him. I'm just saying you can't look at his entire body of work and say, yeah, that guy's garbage. Like, that guy doesn't deserve.
It's obviously garbage. I do think he's a top 10 quarterback. I'm not saying he's not. That's not my disagreement. My disagreement with Justin Herbert, and again, Justin Herbert is the reason why I fell in love with college football. Marcus Mariota is the reason I'm an Oregon fan. He's reason, but Justin Herbert, for me, when you start your career the way that you did, because before Jayden Daniels, Justin Herbert had the greatest rookie quarterback season we'd ever seen. Yeah. He set the record for passing touchdowns and passing yards. First of all, he didn't find out he was going to start in week 1 until like 15 minutes before the game because Tyrod Taylor had a punctured lung. And he goes out there and I believe he won that football game. And then a couple weeks later, he goes head to head with the GOAT, outplays the GOAT, and I believe they won that game against Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. When you start your career that way, right? And then a couple of years ago, you go on the road in Vegas in the big game in week 18 when if the game ended in a tie, they both would have made it to the playoffs, right? And you are perfect on 3rd and 4th downs. And then in 2 playoff appearances, you turn the ball over multiple times and you don't play well. I can't say that you're better than a guy who I've seen not only play in 2 Super Bowls and win 1, not only outplay Pat Mahomes in both of those outings, but this is also a guy who before A.J. Brown, before Devontae Smith, before all the winning, this is a guy who was playing football, throwing the ball to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Jalen Reagor, and a bunch of other McDonald's-worthy wide receivers, and was still winning football games with them and took that team to the postseason. Like, that happened. So I'm not going to sit here. I'm not trying to sit here and say that the Jalen Hurts like hype or the reason why I think Jalen Hurts is third overall is just because of the wins. Because it's not just the wins, right? Because I get it. The Eagles are one of the best built rosters in the NFL and one of the best built rosters we've seen in a long time, right? But we don't say that. But what we don't do is we don't say that Joe Montana is not the second best quarterback of all time because he was throwing the ball to Jerry Rice. We don't do that. We don't say that Tom Brady's not the GOAT because he was playing with all-time great receivers and all-time great players and had the greatest coach of all time. We don't do that. We don't take down Troy Aikman. We don't take down all these other legendary or great quarterbacks in their time because they were playing with other great players. Howie Roseman has a job to do. In order for Howie Roseman to keep his job and feed his family, he has to make moves. He has to pay people. He has to draft well. I'm not going to discount Jalen Hurts and what he's able to do because Howie Roseman's good at his job.
But we're not discounting, and that's the thing. And I shout out to my Fox Sports guys out in Philly. I had to explain this to them. Jalen Hurts almost won MVP a few years ago with Devonta Smith and AJ Brown, and still an elite defense, still an elite offensive line.
He should have won MVP that year, by the way,
and he should have. But you know how the MVP shit goes. But
Patrick Mahomes winning that MVP was crazy.
And Jalen Hurts had a good season. That's fine.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen won MVP with Khalil Shakir and Mac Hollins. There's levels to this.
I think Josh Allen is better than
right.
Jalen.
And so but there's people, and this is what I'm saying. I'm not discounting. This is a battle of the Eagles fans and certain people wanting to overrate Jalen Hurts or overcredit him. When I said basically what all the professionals and all the scouts and all the owners and the coaches and all the people have already laid out whose job it is to analyze these things. And I said that just off watching. I said, yeah, no, Jalen Hurts he's a tier 2 B+ game managing quarterback. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what Brock Purdy gets praised for. Like, and I'm not saying Purdy's better than Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is better than Brock Purdy, but I'm also not going to give him, because he won the Super Bowl, I'm not giving him credit for being an elite quarterback. He had to hold the steering wheel all season. He had one 300-yard passing game, and everybody's saying, "Oh, that's all he had to do." Exactly. That means I'm not going to give him credit for leading the team. Josh Allen was responsible for 80% of the Bills' offense. By far the most percentage.
Not Jalen Hurts. Would Josh Allen be responsible for 80% of Philly's offense if he was in Philly? No, he wouldn't be.
Well, no, because Philly wouldn't. Because Philly would.
He wouldn't have to run. He wouldn't have to run.
The offense would run through the quarterback. But the offense would run through the quarterback as they should. The reason why Philly had to play the way they played is because of. And I'm going to say the word weaknesses, but I'm not saying he's weak. I'm just saying the thing. Right. And I've preached that. It is Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni's job to look at the strengths and weaknesses of their quarterback and build the team around them so they can win. I am giving credit to the Eagles for winning. I'm not giving credit for Jalen Hurts, who there was 45 MVP voters who cast 5 votes each. I don't care what happened in 2022 because, as I've pointed out before on this show, Cam Newton had an amazing year of 15-1 in a Super Bowl appearance and a unanimous MVP, and then 10 years of 7-9. Jalen Hurts got the credit for the year he was excellent. One year doesn't a career make. He held the steering wheel all season. Whatever metric you want to hold that to, he had one 300-yard game. He has yet to throw a 4,000-yard season. That is not elite quarterback. That's also not saying he's not a winner. He wins, but winning is not. They're not winning because of him. He's the 7th ranked player on his own team. He has a stacked roster. So in order to make the argument that people right now want to make for Jalen Hurts to put him with Josh Allen, Lamar, these other guys, I need to see him do it with less. No Eagles fan can realistically, in an objective moment, tell me they think Jalen Hurts is capable of dragging what Josh Allen had to drag to an AFC title game. There's not. Man, hell no.
I think he could.
Then what did he do last year with the Eagles when they needed Jalen Hurts to be the guy? Did they even make the playoffs?
They didn't make the playoffs. Yeah.
Okay. What was the year they didn't make the playoffs? They were hindered by injury. It was like the year after the Super Bowl, right?
No, they made the playoffs every year that Jalen Hurts has been the starter. They didn't make the playoffs his first year because the season was already done. They just threw him out there. Here's what I will say to your 4,000 yards point, right? Yeah. Lamar Jackson threw for over 4,000 yards for the first time this season as well, right? So Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown 4,000 yards. The most yards that Jalen Hurts has thrown for in his career was 38.58. It was in 2023, the year that the team collapsed after the fact. That is still higher than Lamar Jackson's career high of 36.78, which was also happened to be in 2023, right? So if the bar is 4,000 yard passing, I don't want to hear that because Lamar Jackson, people still think is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. And he is. Lamar Jackson is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. But the difference is, and I know that you can agree with me here, right? Because you've said all the time about Josh Allen, right? The difference and the reason why people give Jalen Hurts the credit that he deserves, and the reason why you look at a guy and why I can confidently say I 100% believe that a guy like Jalen Hurts could go into Buffalo and take that team to an AFC Championship game is because Jalen Hurts is a winner. Jalen Hurts does what it takes to win, right? If that means that he needs to go out here and throw for 3,600 yards a season, get at least 25 touchdowns, keep the turnovers to a minimum, right? And rush for near 1,000, he'll do that. If it means he needs to be Josh Allen and be responsible for 80% of the team's yards, I think he can do that, right? The difference between Jalen Hurts and a guy like Justin Herbert and a guy like Lamar Jackson and a guy even at times before this recent stretch like Josh Allen is how many times can you look at a time when the Eagles lost and you say, Jalen Hurts is the reason why they lost. I don't think there's a single loss that the Eagles have had since Jalen Hurts has been the quarterback where you look at that game and you say they lost because of Jalen Hurts. I can't say the same for Josh Allen.
But that's not a fair assessment.
I can't say the same for Justin Herbert. I can't.
I know you know why you can't, because those teams rely on them to win games. Let me ask you something.
But that's my point. If they're relying on you to win, I've watched Josh Allen throw games away. I came on your show, not last season, the season before last, when y'all opened up against the Jets on 9/11, I think it was, and he donated $250,000 to Jordan Whitehead with 3 picks, right? They lost that game because of Josh Allen. Doesn't mean Josh Allen's not great, but the Eagles aren't losing games because of Jalen Hurts. That just doesn't happen.
The team is stacked, and that's why you can't put him, dog. I could realistically put him in tier 3 if I really wanted to, because we haven't seen him. He plays with a stacked roster.
How can you say we haven't seen it when in 2021 they was throwing to nobody? They had an elite defense and still an elite offensive line. They still had those things. The reason why they didn't win the Super Bowl in 2022 is because they didn't have Saquon, because they needed Jalen to win the game, and he couldn't do it. Listen. Well, they didn't win the game in 2022 because of a bad snap that turned into a fumble. That's why they didn't win the game.
Listen, it's tough. Without the things, the quarterbacks you're saying that you're criticizing for losing games, Jalen doesn't have to have that luxury because the team around him is so well put together that Josh Allen doesn't. Again, Josh Allen won the MVP with Mac Hollins as his best receiver. Enough.
Jalen Hurts would win MVP if Mac Collins was his best receiver.
That is categorically untrue.
That would happen. That would absolutely happen. Okay, so aside from Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, I'm not going to get into
1 and 2. Yeah, Josh. Because I'm going to give Patrick the respect he deserves. What I will say is, I'm putting Patrick Mahomes at the top because I think he's earned it. Josh, I could easily make an argument for Josh because I think Josh Allen, out of every quarterback in the NFL, Josh can do what every other quarterback can do in the NFL, and not everybody can do what Josh can do.
Josh Allen,
he's the most complete weapon in the NFL, and so I could make the argument as the best because he can do everything more than anybody else.
I would say that this is the closest that 1 and 2 have been since Patrick Mahomes has been in the league. I don't disagree with that. I'm not getting into Lamar Jackson tonight because you'll never convince me that Lamar Jackson is better than Jalen Hurts because he can't win playoff games. I think the Joe Burrow point, despite me being a Joe Burrow guy, I do think the Joe Burrow point is an interesting one, but I don't really think I have to go into that. So you have Jayden. So let's go Jayden Daniels. Okay. You don't think if Jalen Hurts was in Washington that they would have had the same season that they had last season?
No, because the height of Jayden Daniels has been higher individually than anything I've seen from Jalen in terms of just playing, right? Like he's accumulated. I can't give him anything on time. It's just, again, it's the greatest rookie season we've ever seen. Like he's reached the conference championship.
So you don't think the Commanders are an NFC Championship team with Jalen Hurts last season?
No, the Washington had the 25th ranked defense last year. Like, no, literally everything was on like Jayden Daniels. Outside of Josh Allen, I don't think any other quarterback had more responsibility to elevate his team more than Jayden Daniels did, and he reached a title. And in terms
does
of
Jalen Hurts play in the Super Bowl if he's the quarterback of the Ravens?
Does Jalen Hurts?
Is Jalen Hurts and the Ravens in the Super Bowl? If Jalen Hurts are the Ravens playing in the Super Bowl if Jalen Hurts is under center?
I'm going to say no because I'm basing everything off my Bills fandom. If the Bills and if I think Lamar is better than Jalen and the Bills have beat him, I'm not going to say with a lesser quarterback that they're going to beat the Bills, so they couldn't.
I can't get mad at that lineup. That's a very linear lineup thing. I can't. I'll let your bias win there.
Throwing the football. When you watch Jayden Daniels throw the football, I think you can at least agree. Jayden Daniels throws the ball better than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' arm isn't particularly strong. Jayden Daniels is stronger, clearly.
Jalen Hurts' arm isn't particularly. Jalen Hurts threw a 50-plus yard bomb to put the icing on the cake in the Super Bowl. What are you talking about?
Yes, the Ravens are playing in the Super Bowl. Not with no Jalen Hurts. Not with the 9th best quarterback in the NFL. I'll tell you that.
Well, here's why I disagree. Right. And this is the thing that I've been getting on. This is the thing that I've been getting into with Ravens fans for the better part of really ever. Right. So what Ravens fans like to harp on from last season is the fact that Mark Andrews dropped that pass at the end there that lost the game. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. But they don't talk about the fact that there were several instances where the Ravens got stops on in fact, I don't think the Bills scored in the second half. I'm sure you can correct me wrong there. But if I remember, I have studied that game log front to back because I've gotten into arguments with it about it a lot over the past couple months. If I'm not mistaken, I don't believe the Bills scored in the second half of that game, which means the Ravens did their job on defense. Yeah. They stopped the Bills from scoring, and Lamar Jackson, the Ravens couldn't, right? There were a couple of possessions in there in the first half where Lamar throws the pick, he airmails it. There's another one in there where he fumbles the ball, right? But there were even a couple of possessions in the first half where the Ravens defense gets a stop, and then the Ravens offense and Lamar Jackson, they turn around and either punt the ball or they don't score, right? So, so when I say that Jalen Hurts is better than Lamar Jackson, what I mean by that is in those situations, when Jalen Hurts is in a situation where he needs to, first of all, Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the football over. Let's just start there. But if he does turn the football over, he's not making the same mistake multiple times, right? He's not a guy that's going to make multiple mistakes in the same game. That doesn't happen. So why I can confidently say that the Ravens would be in the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts, or at least have a better shot at it, is because he takes care of the football. Yeah. Lamar. So I'm not giving Lamar Jackson played great in the second half. Yes, but Lamar Jackson's great second half doesn't become such a talking point if his first half wasn't so bad. And that's my thing with Lamar, is if he just plays great the way that we know that he can play consistently, a lot of us people who are out here saying that Lamar Jackson isn't this or isn't that, we have no leg to stand on because he's consistently being great. That's why people are here saying that he's the James Harden of the NFL. That's why people are here saying the things that they're saying about him is because when the lights are brightest, he's like the Rockets in 2018. He's bricking 27 threes in a row. And there's nothing that anybody can do about it. He might have a little bit of magic at the end there to make it interesting, but he's still making those mistakes. I look at even the Matt Stafford thing. I think is an interesting one because I think for the most part, a lot of people who think Matt Stafford is top 5 are giving Matt Stafford credit for the Super Bowl that he won, on top of the fact that we all knew that he was super duper talented, but he was in Detroit and Detroit wasn't winning anything, right? And so if that's the argument for Matt Stafford, what I want to figure out is why Matt Stafford can consistently be in the top 6, top 5, top 7, whatever, off the strength of a Super Bowl that he won 3 years ago, which can't be considered a top 5, top 4, top 3 even quarterback based on a Super Bowl he won 6 months ago. Yeah. Like, that's what I want to know. I'm not saying you have to answer that, but I'm just saying everyone that I talk to who talks to me and says Jalen Hurts can't be that high because of the Super Bowl he won 6 months ago had Matt Stafford that high because of the Super Bowl he won 3.5 years ago. No,
I think the Super Bowl validates everything we've thought of Matt Stafford. I mean, Matt Stafford, in terms of like gold age quarterback, is the last of them, right? Joe Burrow is probably the closest thing to that traditional golden age quarterback that we remember. But at 37, I still watch Matt Stafford and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. No, Matt Stafford's really good.
Like just his ability as a playmaker, like making these Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua household names, that's a credit to Matt Stafford. Like that's again, teams are game planning to stop Matt Stafford, and that's also another reason why I still have Jalen.
People game plan to stop Jalen Hurts, Jerm.
Like, come on, bro. No, their plan is for a quarterback. Hey, let's keep him in the pocket and make him throw. That's not a great game. Like if you're supposed to be an elite quarterback, that's not what you want. That's not what the game plan should be. Like that's not how
Jalen Hurts has beaten your favorite team throwing the football.
Who?
Yours.
The Bills.
He's beaten your favorite team throwing the football. That has happened.
He's beaten
your favorite team throwing the football.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
teams it's not like he's not capable of doing. That's why I'm so confused on this whole like make him throw the football.
So what does that mean though? Jalen Hurts is 0-2 versus Zach Wilson. So Zach Wilson's better than Jalen Hurts now. Is that what we're doing? Are we doing that? Because it sounds like what you're loading up.
Well, you just said that the game plan for Jalen Hurts is to make him throw, and so I'm just pointing out. I think that's ironic. Was that not your favorite team?
I got you. Was that not Washington in the NFC title game? And Kansas City in the Super Bowl, that was their game plan. Hey, we will sell on Jalen Hurts and make him beat us. That's not what elite quarterbacks do. That's not.
But I hear you, but I don't think that making Jalen Hurts throw is a sign of like forcing him to beat us throwing. I think it's an acknowledgement that the Eagles' offense is most just like the Ravens' offense, just like even the Bills' offense, right? When you have a dual threat quarterback, your offense is most dangerous when your quarterback is able to extend plays, run, and maneuver. So your goal defensively is let's not let this guy rack up 100, 125, 150 yard rushing, because now it makes us being able to defend option plays that much harder. Oh, and by the way, he's handing the ball off to the best back in football, Saquon Barkley. Right. Yeah. So when I hear you, but like I don't see the let's make Jalen Hurts throw, because they were saying the same thing about Lamar Jackson. The difference is Lamar Jackson wasn't that great of a passer. Right. And the game plan, even now, still on Lamar Jackson is let's do what we can to contain him, because we don't have a shot if Lamar Jackson's off for 100 and Derrick Henry's going off for 100. Right. Or before Derrick Henry arrived, when I don't know why people forget that Mark Ingram was a 1,000-yard rusher the year that he won MVP. I don't understand, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think so. Like, I hear you on that point, but I don't think that's a product of people saying, oh, Jalen Hurts isn't a good thrower. I think that's a product of people recognizing our best shot at beating the Eagles is if we only have to worry about Saquon running the ball and we only have to worry about Jalen Hurts throwing the ball. Because if we have to worry about Saquon as a runner and a receiver, and we have to worry about Jalen Hurts as a passer and a runner, we might as well just go home. Like, there's no shot. And you could say the same thing for Josh Allen, even though his supporting cast isn't that great. Like, you want to do what you can to keep Josh Allen in the pocket and not scrambling, because he's a big body. So first of all, he's running somebody over. Someone might end up in the blue tent if they go head up against Josh Allen. But more importantly, you want to put yourself in a situation where your secondary can hold its own against Mac Hollins and Khalil Shakir and all those guys. I just think, I don't know. Like, I hear you, but I've never really, like, that's a good argument for like a Zach Wilson who's just not good. Like, yeah, like let's make him throw the football. But like a Jalen Hurts, like dual threat guys, I don't know if that argument holds the same weight. It might work for Kyler Murray too, because Kyler Murray just absolutely sucks.
Yeah, for real.
Did you see that pick he threw against the Chiefs?
Yeah,
you know, I don't know what he was looking at. He needs to stay out the COD lobbies. But yeah, that's where I'm at on